strictly compliant.
What the fuck is going on?
They took everything from me.
Ah, original.
They left me with nothing to lose.
Jack! Oh shit, I thought it was a trailer. This is actually how it looks like.
It is not a matter of what we want. If we don't work together,
What
we
the
will both lose
fuck is
everything.
this shite, dude?
Have a nice day, Mr. Capnos.
Foreclosed. That looks fucking terrible. Smokey Baxter, IJ, Neezy, and Shayla Beef. Thank you boys, welcome back. Shit. Dankest Dungeon 4. Oh. I think it might. Oh, it might be like. Oh, actually, I think it is very similar. Right? Little DD. The Iron Oath. Alright. Doesn't have the darkest dungeon feel though.
Legend tells of a place where everyone comes together to play and dance and race and shoot and jump and fly with jetpacks or maybe bat wings. And there's lava and a mountain made of junk food. Where you can create your own worlds and have your own adventures where you are in charge. Where you can make your very own games with your very own rules. And all your friends can come and play. Like this one here.
What happened to that? Remember 1 year ago we saw a game?
But he is cool. What?
Death Run game. It looked kinda similar to this.
And own them all. That's sweet. But you see, this place isn't a
Remember?
legend at all.
Like a year ago at E3 or something?
Party.
What was that game called? The 100 player one. Yeah, exactly. Fall Guys? Is that what it was called? I don't think so. Was it? Fall Guys? What happened to that game? It was on some weird ass platform. I think it maybe Epic. It's from Devolver. Did that shit release ever? In development. Besiege your friends. Damn, those arrows. Like magic. Raise an art. Little H vampire. Kinda looks like it, yeah. Declare war. Very nice. So I think we've seen it now. If that's okay with you, trailer. Up the stream quality. Okay. Exclusive reveal. Poggers? Oh, is this a Wizard game? Oh, it is the Wizard. We played this game. This was a long time ago. This was like 1.5 years ago, was it not? This was kind of nice. I mean, they went in on the battle royale shit with Harry Potter style, but it's kind of late now, honestly. It's kind of late, I feel like. Also, this shit is too complicated for people, honestly. This shit is way too fucking complicated now. Mixing 15 elements on top of mixing those with your friends in your team as well. It's too fucking complicated. I'm chicken. What?
Oh hey, check out spellbreak.com/IGN to get a free exclusive in-game skin. Coming up later in the Expo, we've got tons of never-before-seen trailers and interviews with the developers of some of the hottest upcoming titles, but right now, it's Samurai time! Samurai! Cartoon lovers should be no stranger to Samurai Jack, the time-traveling swordsman whose long-running cartoon adventures came to an end in 2017. Well, now he's back in video game form. We got a chance to talk about it with Samurai Jack creator Genndy Tartakovsky. Max, take it away. Samurai!
Samurai Jack's animated adventures came to a grand finale in 2017, but now this time-traveling samurai is back in Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, a brand new original video game. Here to tell us about it, I'm joined by Samurai Jack's creator and animation legend, Genndy Tartakovsky.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for making a bunch of amazing cartoons that have clearly inspired my own personal laboratory. Let's talk about Samurai Jack. This is a brand new story. It's by Derek Bachman. It takes place within the sort of Samurai Jack timeline, but walk us through exactly sort of where and when, aside from through time, this is taking place.
Well, I think it kind of picks up right where we were finishing the last season, the finale of the whole thing. And it starts, we created a new mythology where it kind of starts as an alternate timeline, and Aku sends Jack through that timeline, and now, of course, Jack has to fight his way back and defeat Aku. But this time, the adventures are kind of similar, fresher, because for the first time, you actually get to control Jack and really fight all those amazing villains and henchmen and have the friends along the way that we've experienced through watching the show.
Now, this is the first Samurai Jack game in 16 years. There was the PS2 game that came out in 2004.
But
can you sort of talk about sort of the difference in perception of not just Samurai Jack, but kind of video games in general? It feels like it's you're under the Adult Swim mantle this time around. Which does that give you any more sort of?
Maybe that wasn't a beard. Okay.
Welcome to Uganda.
Feels lag, man.
B-class treatment, right? You just kind of go into whatever engine they have. They do some new graphics, but generally it's not great. And they were doing it while I was in production on the show, so it's hard for me to be super involved. And because it takes a commitment and a love to do this right, even for video games, for a TV show, for anything. And so it kind of came out and it kind of lacked what we all thought a video game could be. And then now fast forward here, the show is more popular. The show has existed for 16 years more, and people have really gone to love it. And there's a more of respect towards it. So the new game is a lot more of what we wanted it back then, and even more. So it's kind of it's completely
This looks so
different
trash.
from my point of view, from what it was to how far it's come now.
Very cool. Well, let's talk about the gameplay a little bit here. Obviously, we're going to see lots of sword swinging action because he's a samurai after all. But we also got sort of a pole arm here with some magic coming out of it. We got a shot of him in the trailer with some heavy firepower. Can you tell us about the combat a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inspired by of course the normal samurai stuff, the classic. But just like in the show, Jack's able to use a lot of what's around him to be inventive, and I think there's some stuff where he actually uses one of the coup drone's arms, and he slashes with it. There's a bow and arrow, I think, and so there's a lot of variation. There's a trident, like we see here, and also taking cue from when Jack was lost in the last finale season. He also uses some guns and stuff. Where
oh my god, who would buy this?
The first few seasons.
Like, what
yeah,
the
a lot of the locales
fuck?
are totally inspired by what we did in the show. And so it's kind of great because if you're a fan of the show, you'll recognize the environments instantly, and you can kind of look forward to some of the villains from that environment. At the same time,
It just feels
also,
like it's Game Boy Devil May
some other villains to
Cry.
come in all the different various environments.
Nice. And you've also got some familiar returning characters as well, I hear.
Yes, of course. I mean, you could never do it without the Scotsman, and here, of course, is Demongo, who's one of the fan favorites, has been.
Demongo?
And what's also fantastic is we were able to use the original voice cast, right? I mean, besides Mako, of course, who passed away. But yeah, so there's an authenticity to it that I think is sometimes you don't get in other games based on properties.
Is Mongo not a
This
word?
is awesome. Now, something I'm really curious about.
English?
This is developed by
Is it a
Select,
word
which
or
is
no?
a studio based out of Japan.
Mongo.
Obviously, Samurai Jack
From
is a
Mongoloid.
Western cartoon heavily influenced by Japanese media and culture, and now you've got a Japanese team developing a game based on that. Can you talk a little bit about
It's a
that
fruit?
relationship?
No, not mango.
It's
Mongo.
been really good. I mean, I think for whenever you do these things, it's always great.
Swedish we
if
say
there's
Mongo.
a fondness and appreciation from the team that's actually going to be doing all the work. If it's just all about money and they feel like they could take advantage of the name of the property, then it becomes kind of, they don't understand the essence of it. But I know, like Derek, who wrote
Yeah,
this,
okay, wrap
he
it
traveled to
up,
Japan and he met
dude.
with them, and he walked into their offices, and
What
they had
the fuck?
Samurai Jack posters,
Budget,
and they were
state
asking
of
about
play.
me, so they were appreciative of it.
All the
And
companies.
doing.
What did they
even
pay
I
to
remember
get
back
airtime
then when
on
I
this
first
or not?
started the show, and it actually started to air in Japan. I was really worried. I'm like, oh no, they found out I'm a fake. They'll see through everything I've done. No matter how much of a whatever fan or appreciation that I had of Japanese culture and especially the samurai code and culture, they would still know that I'm a phony. But so I remember I was at the studio once, and we had some visitors from Japan, some of these cable operators. They were just businessmen, and this is years ago. And they came into my office, and I was introduced to them. And Samurai Jack just started airing on their cable network, and they were like, "You got it right. You did a really good job. We love the show, and it feels sincere." And that was the biggest compliment I could ever get. That it was. It worked in
that is so
Japan.
cool.
Yeah, it didn't. I didn't embarrass their culture or appropriate it or whatever. All that kind of stuff.
I love that. So now, obviously, like Samurai Jack has been around for almost 20 years, and people who maybe were watching Samurai Jack as kids they're now adults and they're out making video games and stuff. Have you sort of had any encounters with people working on the game who fanboy out and get completely overwhelmed by it, or is it?
A little bit, like it's more about in general. I think like you said, it's been around for so long. It's been able to influence a lot of artists going into video games and animation in general. And so when I go to conventions and all that kind of stuff, and I meet these people, when I was influenced by Bugs Bunny cartoons and Popeye and some Disney stuff. Tex Avery, and of course, by the time I got into the industry, most of them were all gone, if not all of them. And so I was never really able to meet any of the people who inspired me to go into animation. And now it's been pretty incredible. When I go to conventions, I meet the people who say, well, yeah, I got into the industry because of Samurai Jack.
Why did you take this segment?
Or I love to draw because of Samurai Jack and all this stuff. And it's beyond comprehension
Fucking
that
terrible.
something like this can, affect people and really show them the direction in their life, which is so, such a huge honor to inspire anybody, really.
That's phenomenal. That's really cool to hear. Now, I have to ask, you mentioned it very briefly there, Popeye. Do you have any word on the Popeye movie that I heard you were working on at one point?
No comment on any of that stuff. So
Okay.
Fair enough.
The Morsan, Forever Ballin',
Fingers
Einstraub,
crossed.
Jason,
Thank you so much, Gendy. This was a huge
and
pleasure.
Mango Bay
I'm looking
Turtles.
forward to
3
checking
years.
out
Let's
Samurai
fucking
Jack
go. Let's
Battle
fucking go,
later
dude.
this year.
Thank you, man. We're done with the batch, man. Partner.
Welcome back to check out this game on IGN's Summer of Gaming, highlighting exciting, under-the-radar games worth your time. Strategy RPG Star Renegades has without a doubt one of the coolest looking pixel art styles I've seen in a long time, but it backs that look up with an exciting time-based combat system as well. Take a look at some exclusive new gameplay.
Little Phantom.
Like what you see? Then head on over to IGN.com or YouTube.com/IGN to watch the full extended version of this gameplay.
That was the wonderful Tom Marks with some inside info on Star Renegades. If you like Tom, I have great news because he will be right back to tell us all about Iron Oath along with one of the game's developers. But first, a little tiny break. Stay tuned.
IGN Summer of Gaming is brought to you by Fuser, who will be partying with us all summer long.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Every Friday.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game. But what if you got the opportunity to peek into the minds of the developers while they watch their games getting completely wrecked? That's exactly what happens in every episode of Game Devs React to speedruns.
You can do that. Oh my god!
That's lit.
We invite you to ride along with the developers
As if they
as
haven't
react
seen
to,
the fucking
question, and
speedruns.
enjoy some of the most skilled players exploiting and speeding through a game it took years of their life to create. Join us every Saturday for a new episode.
Hey there! Do you have opinions on games, movies, TV, or other weird stuff on the internet? You can take part in our new show, Power Ranking, where you can vote on all your favorite things on the internet. Do it now! Do it! Just go! Go! Go!
News, games, and more is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent, going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. See you there.
How many shows do they have? God damn.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to IGN's Summer of Gaming. My name is Tom Marks, and I'm joined today by Chris Wingard and Nick Mueller, who's a little bit static today, of Curious Panda Games. How are you guys doing?
Great. Doing very good. How about you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me. We're here to talk about your game, The Iron Oath. So, just to set it up, tell me a bit about the game. What is The Iron Oath?
I think, like, at its core, the game is about
Not Dark Souls,
a
Darkest Dungeon.
mercenary company. Just like living the life of a mercenary, like owning your own mercenary guild and managing all of that. That's sort of like the main thing that you'll be doing.
And that's through, as we're seeing here,
Feels like FTL meets
kind of hex-based gameplay, right?
FTL
it's
meets
a turn-based
Darkest
tactics
Dungeon.
game at its core as well.
Right. Yeah. So you're managing your guild, and then you take them on missions, and then the combat plays out on a hex grid.
Hex grid.
And one of the things I wanted to touch on too is you guys started out on Kickstarter, I believe.
Yeah.
When? How long?
2017.
2017. So you've gone along like 3 years now. How has kind of that journey been?
It's been longer than we wanted it to, but we've made a lot of improvements to the game. And we've come a long way, and we're really happy with the state that it's in and where it's going, and really excited for people to get their hands on it, hopefully soon.
Well, since we're seeing it right now, since we're seeing the combat, let's talk about that first. There's a lot of different flavors of turn-based tactics and hex-based stuff and all that sort of goodness. What kind of sets the Iron Oath apart? What did you want out of the combat? What's important to you, and what are players basically going to be thinking about? What do you want them to think about while they're fighting?
I mean,
tackle that, Chris.
everyone, including game developers, underestimate how long it takes to make a fucking game.
We really wanted, firstly, our hero design. We really wanted them to be
just a friendly reminder that this piece of shit said company is the same that rated Overwatch 10 out of 10. You are welcome.
Like a guy who's just a tank.
And Overwatch 10 out of 10.
Has ranged abilities sitting in the back. So we kind of that's our main focus, just having powerful characters who are unique, and then just the Pyrolancer, for example, that's a guy with black armor. The Lance, he's a melee fire mage, so he's an example of that.
When they rated it,
and basically, we really just wanted to. Sorry.
I was just saying, initially he was just a guy that stood in the back with fireballs, and we decided that'd be kind of boring.
Not wrong, but it's always a bit iffy when you rate multiplayer games.
Decided to give a little bit of a twist.
Single-player games are
just standing back throwing fireballs. He gets up and close and deals fire damage like that.
Objectively.
And that was one thing I was noticing watching this gameplay as well, is it seems like positioning is really, really important here. We already saw it
a
little bit earlier, but
I've never seen
one character
any game ever.
placed a little fire sigil, and then another character knocked them into that, which then knocked that person farther away.
Usually doesn't matter
exactly.
at all.
There's a lot of synergies between abilities. The Pyrolancer places down that hex, and then there's a lot of abilities that can push or can pull, and so you gotta try to plan ahead and take that into account when you're trying to manipulate your positioning around the enemies and all that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of environmental hazards too. Just then he was standing on the little like glowing hex, and that one, if you're standing on it, you can't use certain abilities.
Nice.
So you
was
have
holding
to really
the
hostage,
hostage, and this guy just
and that was
slashed
created
through
by
him.
one of the enemies attacking. It spawned that beneath him, so you have to move around. But then also you have to really think about where you're going to move to, because like Dungeons and Dragons,
A little
there's,
zoom
like,
zoom. Thank you for the sub. Welcome,
so if you get close to someone and
Phoenix
then
and
move away,
on a Titan.
going to
Thank you
get
for
like
the
a
prime
free
sub.
hit
Welcome,
against you. So you
Mashiriko
can't
and
just
Hannibal.
move off
Welcome
Hey,
back.
Force, you think it's in the IGN terms of service that everyone working there have to look at the cup? Or is it just a coincidence?
I feel like Attack of Opportunities
or
is something
something?
that I would think I've seen more of that in tactics games, but it feels like this is one of the first I've
How
actually
does a
seen
cock look like?
lean into that idea.
Yeah, we really wanted to lean into that, and then also have ways around it. Like it's not gonna, like, one of the problems that we thought we might run into is just characters would funnel.
I
to a
never
point,
met a cuck
and then they would just trade
in
blows and
person.
then it's done. So, but to counteract that, we have a lot of characters with mobility. So instead of just running into a place, like the Valkyrie is a class that she can fly several hexes across. So if she needs to get out of somewhere, she can use that to make a whole lot of distance. And then we have other abilities that can knock back, and then that allows you to walk away without.
This font
getting
is
hit
so
with attack
fucking
opportunities.
terrible.
There's like
It looks
environmental
like
hazards, like
really
in a
fucking
later part, there's,
basic.
like, grass on the ground, and
shit
if you're
font.
standing in the grass, you can freely move through that and not get hit with an attack of opportunity.
And now we're seeing an overworld map screen. Can we talk about? Tell me a little bit about this world and kind of the outside of combat, but this part of it. You're walking between towns. You're taking on missions as part of this mercenary company, right?
Westeros.
Yeah, this is where you'll be doing like half of the game. Half of the game is kind of in these dungeons doing combat. The other half is where you're actually managing your guild and exploring the world. And like just then, what happened was it was moving to a town, and there was like a dynamic event that happened that said that you've encountered these this person that looks like they're in trouble, and you could choose to help them or not help them.
Jesus Christ!
And,
they spent 3 years on
where,
this
like,
shit.
A lot of the events will.
I mean, yeah, they spent 3 years on this.
Dynamic encounters that come about as you're
But there are a lot of
dungeons.
game
You
developers
might
who
run across other
spend
events
3
mid-dungeon
years on
that are
less.
related to the quest you're currently tackling.
Yeah, there's a lot
At
of
least
like
these guys have some
text-based
fucking
encounters.
airtime.
That's part of the inspiration is from D&D in that aspect. It's just little choose your own adventure type things while you're on a mission. It's not necessarily part of that mission, but it's just something.
It's rough, man.
choose
Game
to do.
development, it's rougher than
That's
people
also
think.
what
I
I
think.
feel like what a lot of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns end up becoming, or are.
Everyone
from
wants
the
to
outset
win
is
the lottery.
Essentially, a band of mercenaries just running around taking jobs.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
I was
it's
also a
hard
big
because
fan of,
everyone
like,
wants to
Berserk,
win the lottery.
the Band
right?
of the Hawk, the manga, and I always thought that would be like really fun to really like play out a scenario like that.
And we mentioned Valkyrie, which is now we're actually seeing in this fight as a class, but the characters specifically, are these randomized characters that kind of get assigned a class? Are they set characters that you'll meet out in the world? How does that sort of aspect of it work?
So they're each class, you recruit them, and they age, they retire, or they die in combat, and then you'll eventually have to replace them by recruiting new people. So the classes themselves, there's 8 classes that we'll be launching with, and they're not tied to a person. The person is dynamically generated whenever you need to recruit someone, and yeah, you just recruit them, you train them up.
Dynamically
they have
generated?
traits, they have personality traits, and there's different skills that you can level up within. They have like their abilities, and you can level up those abilities with different skills to try and augment them.
The characters can also be customized a little bit too. You can tweak the colors, also the portraits in the top left. Those can all be changed, so you can like give people different hair or hair colors or different eye color, things like that.
I know one of the things you guys mentioned
Different
before we
eye
spoke
colors.
here was the inspirations of kind of Darkest Dungeon and that coming into it. And you mentioned aging. And that sort of reminds me that these characters are they're finite to a certain extent. You're not going to take one person all the way from the beginning of the game to the end of the game necessarily.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everything you do in the game kind of like costs time. Essentially, like when you're traveling around the world, it takes time. It might take time for characters to heal. Like they can be injured. Like right now on the top left, you'll see there's little icons that show that he's got like an arm injury, a leg injury, and those things take time to heal. And different injuries take longer. Like if you get a light laceration, he might be ready for combat in a week. But if someone gets like a broken leg, they might be out for a couple months. So you have to make sure you have like a nice rotation of characters that you can bring in and out of combat.
Is there a base building management sort of aspect to it? Like, how much is that actual management side of things? How deep does that go?
Base building?
You definitely have to manage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's right. You jump in there.
All right, sure. So you have to manage, the recruitment, obviously, first and foremost, and that was just a violent death right there that just occurred. And it, so you manage. You manage the recruitment aspect, and then you manage when you're recruiting someone, you have to manage the contract. So the contracts kind of work like sports contracts, basically. So you sign someone, and they'll be with you for 5 years at a certain amount of gold per year. And then once that's up, you got to renegotiate a new contract. And then aside from that, you also have to kind of manage each individual's happiness a little
Hello,
bit.
and
So
welcome to Team Fortress 2. After 9 years in development, hopefully it will have been worth the wait. I can be reached at Gab and Valve Software. Come in my favorite classes this time. Thanks, and have fun.
So you have to manage that aspect, and then as well with the whole overworld, there's a bunch of different factions. So you have to kind of manage your relationship with all these different factions, choose who you want to ally yourself with, and
I don't get
be
it.
wary of who you make enemies with because they might send bounty hunters after you.
I don't get it.
Like that. So there's a decent amount of management to go on, but there is no base that you have for your company, but there is a skill tree that you can work towards getting different upgrades.
One-eyed king.
I gotta tell you, Football Manager, but for D&D nerds,
Cluster
is
lead.
something
Frank
that
Sheep,
appeals
2
to me
years,
on a deep
man.
level.
Thank you, boys.
So I'm very much
Welcome
looking
back.
forward to this. Thank you to both of
Anonymous,
you
welcome back.
for sitting down with us, talking about it, and showing it off.
Yep, thank you very much for having us. Appreciate it.
For even more Summer of Gaming goodness, download the TikTok app, follow IGN, and search IGN Summer of Gaming hashtag to find a slew of bonus gameplay clips and upload your very own epic gaming moments.
I certainly do love the epic gamer moments. We just took a look at Star Renegades and Iron Oath, and now it's time for a chat about Foreclosed. And although it might sound like a depressing game about real estate and mortgages and your landlord, it's actually a colorful cyberpunk adventure. Here's your first look at some gameplay.
Foreclosed is a gorgeous new cyberpunk game with a beautiful graphic novel aesthetic. Here to tell me about it are Andrea and Lara from Antab Studios. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Hi, everyone.
So Foreclosed is set in obviously a beautiful cyberpunk dystopian future. Can you tell me a little bit about what this universe is like, who the main character is, and what is being foreclosed exactly?
Okay, yeah. So the main character is Evan Kapnos. You can see him into the gameplay video. And he's the everyday man in this dystopic future. And to tell about this story, we have to explain a bit about the context. So in this future, everyone has brain implants, and brain implants are used to be connected with cities, so to have any kind of interaction. The key concept is that the identity of a person is basically just a bunch of data, and it represents a node into a gigantic blockchain, and it's embedded into your brain implants. So it's something that is given to you by the state as soon as you are born, as a way to interact with the universe. The absurd story of our character takes place because when you are old enough in this universe, companies can buy what we call the identity debt of the citizens. It means that since the implants you get from the state, they have a cost. That cost represents your debt to have an identity in this environment and to interact, to have any kind of transaction with the city, to buy stuff and so on. So companies buy this debt from the state, and you actually work for the companies basically to pay your debt. And the absurd thing that happens to Evan is that in a mysterious way, the company you work for goes bankrupt, and you have to understand why. But the main thing is that your identity gets foreclosed just like any other goods of the bankrupted company. And
yeah, and like at the very beginning, you just reach the court and do some paperwork just to try to find an escape from this bureaucratic mess, we may say. But what actually happened is that while you're trying to reach the court, some mysterious agents start to chase you and try to kill you. So now you have to find a way to escape from the city before the auctioning, but also not to get killed.
Yeah. Then there's a quick escalation of things that happens to the main character. As soon as you think the story is about fixing the paperwork, basically, what happens is that you are involved in something bigger than you, and the key story is that you have to understand what's going on. You have to try to survive and to get out of the bureaucratic mess.
Yeah.
So it sounds like some good dystopian noir, appropriately cyberpunk. Can you give us a sense of how the world is structured? We've seen some sort of, looks like some good exploration and going to different areas, but sort of how are players engaged with this world?
Okay, so we wanted to give the idea of that you will be playing a comic book, and we worked really hard to give this feeling. So the game is not an open world game, and it's mainly story driven, but we blend everything seamlessly together. So you will not have a feeling of different levels, or level 1 or level 2 and so on. The storyline builds up as you move into this world, and you will not see loading times or something like that. So it's just a fluid, continuous experience. This is just to make the feeling that you are playing it's a fully playable cyberpunk comic book. So this is the key thing. Yeah.
Let's talk about the combat a little bit. It looks like we're using some implants to throw dumpsters at people. Explain that, please.
No. Yeah, so as you're seeing, like, implants are extremely important in Foreclosed. They are like your curse and your blessing. And that's because you have an experimental firmware installed inside your implants, and this firmware is going to give you like incredible combat skills and powers. You may see inside the video you have like telekinetic kind of abilities, so you can lift object, throw the object through the enemy, you can lift your enemy and like freeze them in the air, you can slam them down, you can do this kind of stuff. You also have a very special weapon, which is built to connect and work with your implants. And this is a symbiotic gun, we may call it. Yeah. So you can actually equip different kind of bullets, and this allows you to turn your weapon in what you want. So let's say you can transform a simple gun into a machine gun, or into an explosive kind of weapon. And you can also combine different kind of bullets together. One thing that you have to take care about is that because your powers and your implants are experimental, the system is a bit unstable. So when you use your powers, you're gonna overeat your implant, and you have to take extremely care of the eating level of the device, because if you overeat the implant, you're going to stun. It's a very painful kind of overeat, and you have to wait until the system cools down completely before being able to use your powers again.
Yeah, so it's a continuous balancing of using the and mixing the power, and be careful because of the overeat system. And the powers are unlockable in a RPG style. So since it's depending from your firmware, is going to upgrade itself as you progress through the story and you fight with enemies. In that way, you will basically have some upgrade cycles you can spend to decide what power is most suitable for you. And so you will see also in the gameplay video that you can throw stuff in the air. You can use telekinesis to attract objects and use them as shields, basically, to protect yourself. Or you can lift enemies, throw them on the floor, keep energetic shields on yourself. And mixing everything together with the gun powers, you basically make your own strategy for fighting.
Oh yeah, and like you're also seeing that in the video. You can also hack devices and systems all around, and depending on the device you're hacking, you will perform different acts, we may say. So for example, opening a door or making a cabinet explode, and you can even act brain implants of an unaware enemy.
Yeah, so we can use some stealth elements in some fight. It's not something that is always there, because we have stealth when it makes sense for the storyline, but it's also an ability you have as a player.
Yeah.
Well, you've both been clearly hard at work along with the rest of the team. What platforms are you looking at, and what kind of release date are we expecting?
For release date, we can just say it's going to be Q2 next year, so 2021.
Yeah.
And platform, we aim to, we are working on PC, on Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, so, all the main platforms.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing off Foreclosed. It looks great.
Foreclosed has closed for now. We're closed. Don't forget, all summer of gaming long, IGN is asking you, Brian, to donate to worthy causes by following the links in the description of this video or by heading to donate.ign.com. You can give to the COVID-19 Response Fund dedicated to studying, tracking, and combating COVID-19, or to the Bail Project, working to reunite families separated by the mass incarceration system.
And for even more Summer of Gaming goodness, download the TikTok app, follow IGN, and search for IGN Summer of Gaming hashtag for bonus gameplay clips and to upload your own awesome gaming moments. Next up, Blanco's Block Party looks like a cross between Little Big Planet and collecting Funko Pops, but first, a quick break. We'll be right back with more IGN Expo number 2.
IGN Summer of Gaming is brought to you by Fuser, who will be partying with us all summer long.
Party, party! Party, party! Party, party!
Ah!
Yeah!
Sure.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
News, games, and more is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us on Mixer.com/IGN, YouTube.com/IGN, and Twitch.tv/IGN. See you there.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay,
custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
You are a good giraffe, and that's why I love you. Yeah. Oh, hey, Sydney. Welcome back. Question, do you think children's toys come to life when no one's looking at night and you need friends?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they made like 4 movies about it, so it has to be true, right?
What about high-end designer vinyl toys for artsy collectors such as myself and my friend, the giraffe?
You know, they probably come to life too, since there's going to be a video game about it, and video games are pretty realistic.
They certainly are, and so is my giraffe. I can't fault that logic anyway. The game's called Blanco's Block Party, and if I'm not mistaken, we've killed enough time with this fake back and forth for me to queue up an exclusive interview with one of the developers, so let's check it out.
Sweet, let's see it.
Let's see it. Blanco's Block Party is a game about a bunch of little vinyl figurines that come to life and get into all sorts of trouble. Here to tell me about it is Jamie Jackson, the Chief Creative Officer for Mythical Games. Jamie, how's it going?
Hey man, what's up, Max?
Who are these Blancos, and who allowed them to have this block party? Tell me about this game. Tell me what's going on here.
Oh man, so Blancos, like you said, their vinyl toys come to life. We allowed them to have the party, I guess. There's a whole kind of this is where the kind of idea of is where Blancos go or where vinyl toys go when humans aren't in the room. So the place that they've created is their block parties. And then there's a kind of big place we call the Junction, where they can go and hang out and train up and hang out with their friends. But the stuff that you're seeing now, this is actually all in the UGC side of it. So you can kind of build and create your own worlds too.
So that's a huge part of the whole like vinyl doll collectible scene, people customizing sort of existing figurines and stuff. Can you talk a bit about how in-depth the user-created content side of this is?
Yeah, sure. So from a Blanco side, we're actually working with a bunch of really cool vinyl artists to come and have their artwork in-game on Blancos, much like in the real world. But from the UGC side, this level, everything we're looking at now is all levels that we've been built in our editor. And the point of the editor really was to build it with a controller. We wanted to make it really easy for players to build worlds, whether it's just a hangout, somewhere they can go and hang out with their friends and do whatever they want, or they can actually drop gameplay in really easily. And it's not about having to code or open any boxes to type in code. It's everything can be done with a game controller. You just have to drop a toy in, really easy parameters to set. Season 1, we're going to be dropping things like this, shooting and racing, vibe collecting, kind of platform style gameplay. The key part is it's really easy to build levels.
Cool. So you're talking about controllers. What platforms are you guys looking at?
So we're going to be launching on PC later this year, and we're going to be announcing our console strategy in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Very cool. Now, this is going to be a free-to-play game, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be free to play, so there's going to be a ton of content for players
They
to come
made
in,
this
play,
in
build,
dreams.
even kind of train up a Blanco to a point. But then, if you want all the cool Blancos and that kind of stuff, that's where you're going to be using the in-game currency to buy those.
Game developception.
Now, I can tell by the shelf behind you, you are a fan of urban vinyl and designer toys. Can you talk a little bit about some of the artists you've got involved so far?
So we're not getting into the artists yet, but if you know anything about this world and any of those artists that are in there, we've definitely got an amazing lineup coming.
I mean, they're trying to cash in
we live
on
in a world of seasonal content now, so we're going to just keep getting better and better.
Nice. Now, so in terms of sort of how
on the Roblox
you said
shit,
you're
right?
gonna have racing and shooting
Roblox
and obviously plenty of platforming.
Get so much money
what
for
are you
some
using to determine sort of what direction you want to go with things in terms
of
them, sort of
right?
You see.
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
Oh, sorry. Like what? Are you going to be sort of following the community's lead in terms of this, or do you guys have like a pretty strict plan in terms of what you want to roll out first and what kind of content you want to let people play around with?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really good idea of what we want to launch, but the main thing for us is to listen to the community as well. So we want to really kind of build for them, because the idea of Blancos is you kind of build what you want to play. That's the kind of approach we're taking with the UGC side. So although we have a ton of plans about what we want to bring, as we get through seasons, we start to see what players do and how they do it differently. We definitely want to listen to them. I think, the big thing for me, having made games for as long as I have, is players always play the games we've made in a totally different way than we expected them to. And we want to take that on board and just try and provide a bunch of really easy tools for them to do exactly that. And then watch what they do and listen to what they want and then drop that in them in future seasons.
Cool. Now, Mythical is a fairly new studio, is that right? But you've got a bunch of people who have like really a lot of experience and some pedigree. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so we're almost coming up to 2 years old. But it was founded by myself, John Linden and Rudy Koch. John and I were both studio heads at Activision, so my background was DJ Hero and Guitar Hero. John and Rudy both worked a lot on Call of Duty, Skylanders franchises. So, even from just the three of us in the beginning, we kind of had a great pedigree, and we've just added to that, bringing in people from the mobile world as well. So having that great free-to-play expertise, World of Warcraft. So the games everyone's worked on have been pretty incredible.
What kind of lessons did you learn from sort of working in the AAA space that you're bringing to the table here and really sort of turning players loose with?
That's a great question. I think some of the biggest ones was don't assume you know everything the player's going to do at the beginning. Allow a little bit of room for them to make the game their own. I think you see that in a lot of products these days. As players find new ways to play, the developer's able to kind of switch around and kind of really enhance some of those options for them. So I think that's probably one of the big things. We've really kind of spent a lot of the first part of this project prototyping and playing with it and thinking about how do we want to play with these games? How would we want to build it, and not being a programmer or coder or anything like that. So making sure it's really, really easy to get into, I think, has been the biggest one for me.
We're seeing a lot of level design here.
To do with controller.
Will the Blancos themselves be customizable? Will people sort of do their own character creation?
There is going to be some things you can do to Blancos. As you play through the game and you play both like in the single player and also in the multiplayer and the kind of UGC modes, you're going to unlock different attachments. So you're going to be able to put different backpacks and jetpacks and various attachments on a Blanco. Some of them will just be cosmetic and just look really cool, but some of them are going to enhance the abilities that a Blanco has. And you can train your Blanco's abilities as you go through a game. So when you get a Blanco at the beginning, it will kind of start at 0, and you can train it to be good at different things. So you can make it really cool at the shooting, you could make it really fast and responsive for the platforming or racing. And we're going to announce some stuff a little bit closer to launch about some of the other things you can do to customize them.
Cool. Now, obviously, free-to-play does make some gamers raise their eyebrows, but we've seen a lot of really sort of successful models lately that manage to, balance making a profit with also offering a good user experience. Can you talk a little bit about how you're approaching monetization here?
Yeah, like you say, I think there's some great examples out there now, and we're in a different world than we were 5 or 10 years ago. Our key thing is that anyone coming in just has a really good time straight at the beginning and feels value even in that free-to-play piece. We're going to talk a little bit later on about our structure, but, you're going to be able to buy Blancos. I think there's some great games out there that are we all think in seasons now rather than Blancos 1, 2, and 3. So definitely expect us to kind of take that same approach and be dropping some great content in a seasonal approach.
Yeah.
Don't smash it.
Now, you mentioned some of the team has a background in Skylanders. The sort of Toys to Life craze hasn't really had the best history recently. Are there any plans to make physical Blancos, or is this strictly going to be a sort of virtual collectible?
Well, Mythical's kind of thesis really is, owning digital content.
I don't even know what these things are.
So
are these
the
popular?
thing about Blancos is with each Blanco you actually own these things, right? So they're yours to do with what you want. And that's about the digital ownership. Who knows whether we bring them into real world later on? They're designed around real toys, so it would be very easiest to do that. But right now, Blancos is all about digital ownership and you building the games that you want to play.
Awesome. And when are you expecting to sort of launch
Q3,
or have more information about that?
2021.
We're aiming to launch at end of the year, so towards the holiday period. And like I say, we're launching on PC. We're actually going to be having our kind of beta phase sometime towards the end of the year as well. And then we're going to be letting you know about our platform strategy pretty soon.
Thanks so much for coming by. I look forward to checking out more about Blanco's block party in the near future.
Do you though? Forsen don't insist. Forsen, since we have time until Sony and this is a shit show, maybe we could watch the search for DB Cooper instead. Ooh, tempting, but then I'm gonna miss all these great games. It's only 28 minutes until it starts.
Our next exciting under-the-radar pick for check out this game is called Bravery Network Online. It's a competitive RPG with a combat system that's a bit like Pokemon, but if all of the monsters were swapped out with some highly fashionable combatants. Check out some exclusive new gameplay.
Highly fashionable. What the fuck is this? And why the fuck did he die after that?
Like what you see? Then head on over to IGN.com or YouTube.com/IGN to watch the full extended version of this gameplay.
Don't like what I see. Not even in the slightest. This has to be the worst one so far.
I'm Sydney Goodman, and fans of Spellbreak are probably super stoked about what came at the end of that trailer. And here to talk more with us about Spellbreak is Seth Seabach.
Really,
Hi, Seth.
really grateful to my friends at in showing us what we will be able to pick up at the bargain bin at Walmart in 2021. Looking forward to playing this crap in the White House with my wife.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We're really we've been working on this for a while, and we have been hoping to deliver this. A lot of people in the community have been asking, when are we going to bring it to the Switch and to the Xbox One? I mean, I personally can't wait to play it on my Switch. I love sitting on the couch and using it, so I'm definitely really excited to be able to bring it to those audiences. So we're looking forward to it.
Auto aim, Pog.
Release later this year.
Right, and so it's already on PS4 and PC. Are there plans for crossplay?
Yeah, so we currently, the beta itself that is on PS4 and PC right now has cross matchmaking, and we definitely are looking for to continue to allow for crossplay when we get to full release, and we're excited about really letting players that are anywhere play with their friends. It's one of the things that we have kind of built the idea behind Spellbreak around, is the ability for people to be able to play with their friends whenever they want, and so we're excited to be able to do crossplay at launch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a lot of friends that play on a lot of different platforms, so anytime a game supports crossplay,
it was quite different from when I played
all for it. So, with that said, I feel like a lot of different games handle crossplay different ways. I'm not sure how far you guys are in kind of knowing how you're going to do crossplay, but is it something that maybe you can opt out of and only matchmake against other PS4 players or other controller players? Like, how will crossplay actually function?
Yeah, so definitely you will be able to opt out if you don't want to, and be able to play with just whoever else is on your designated platforms. If you're on the PS4, you can decide you only want to play with PS4 players. So that will be available. And
I don't get the
like
joke.
I said, we have cross matchmaking now. The next step is basically allowing for cross teams, so you can team up with your friends on whatever platform they're on and jump into squads or some of our other game modes as a group.
Mm-hmm. And for everybody who this is your first time seeing Spellbreak, do not worry. We are going to get to talking about the nitty gritty, but I just find crossplay is so exciting.
They think
so
this
a
is
few more
Realm
questions
Real,
about that. Let's say that I have Spellbreak on PC, but now I'm also going to have it on my Switch. Are you able to have the same profile on both, like have your achievements and whatever carry over?
Yeah, so that's like getting to true cross progression, which is sort of one account everywhere, and that's something we're definitely looking into, and I think we would love to have be available. That's kind of the dream, right? Is that as a player, you can have your one account play on any platform of your choosing, as long as
the
possible.
dream
So
is that
that's
your
definitely
game
that
becomes popular.
Awesome. Cross progression. The word was on the tip of my tongue, and I basically was just given the definition. But that's okay. Okay, so let's just jump into Spellbreak. For people who don't know what it is, can you just give us like a quick synopsis?
Yeah, so it's an action spellcasting PvP game. The primary game mode that we're launching with is Battle Royale. So you'll be able to team up with up to three players, and it's a 42-person lobbies, and so the biggest difference you'll see here in all the gameplay is, I think, the core combat, which is of course spellcasting because you play as a battle mage, as well as a lot of the like movement abilities. I think the key things that really define Spellbreak are the combat and the kind of sort of like verticality and movement you see in the match. So players are able to do everything from blink to levitate, and you actually equip 2 magical gauntlets, and that's what you use for all of your attacks. So it's sort of a blend of what would be like an ability shooter and a more, I think, like MMO style combat where you know things are on cooldown and you want to be tactical.
MMO, no.
So that's kind of what defines Spellbreak.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because obviously there's a lot of battle royale games on the market, but I think Spellbreak does a really good job kind of carving its niche, because I definitely haven't played any battle royales like it. But with that said, what similarities maybe for folks who are huge battle royale fans can they expect in Spellbreak?
So I mean, like, yeah, the core of the mode itself is very similar. You know, you want to be the last either squad or individual standing, and you have a set of safe zones that get smaller over time that pull everyone together. You drop in with no loot, and you need to loot as you go. And so those are all the core tenets you'd expect from a battle royale mode exist in Spellbreak. We do try to find ways to make it really fit for the style of game that Spellbreak is, though, because like one of the big differences is while we do have something like the
have you seen Joker yet?
Zones, like the
no, I haven't.
Outside,
waiting for the
Netflix
areas
that are iconic in battle royale.
Or
we also make it so
HBO, or whatever the fuck they release on nowadays.
Circles, you actually level up your class. So you pick a class.
Hopefully not this day. That's the one I don't have.
Each circle you hit, you get stronger and more powerful. And so it's a little bit more like a MOBA in that way than it is, I think, like a standard sort of battle royale mode.
It's not a MOBA, dude.
Yeah, no, I love that mechanic. I think it's such an interesting thing.